woman. Dunamis woman. Releasing all miracles for the kingdom within me. Breaking through barriers. Success is what I see. Understanding my destiny and the power I possess.
Well, welcome to Dunamis Women. Today, I am Dee Collins, and I am the host of the show, and I am just so excited to be here because I love being in the midst of powerful people, particularly women of power, and that's what Dunamis means. It means power, that you have a strength and a force that's on the inside of you, that wherever you are in your life, you did not just get there on your own. It's because you have been endowed with Dunamis power. Well, I love talking about life and relationships because that's what life is about. Relationships, experiencing things in life. But then when you hear that, just don't think about, ooh, relationships with men or a man. Because the most enriching relationship you could have is with another powerful woman. I was I was down at the Apex Museum, went for a tour, wanted to learn a little bit more about history, particularly for me as a black woman, my lineage, where I come from, and bam, I ran into this powerful woman right there. Janice Warren, how are you?
I am wonderful.
You're wonderful. I'm wonderful.
Yes, I'm wonderful and happy to be here in your presence.
You know, when you get to know me, as you get to know me, and as you get to know me, I just love people and I'll talk to basically anyone. But when you have a woman who is secure within herself and I could just talk to you and you're not, oh, you know how we as women can be sometimes looking you up and down or rolling your eyes. And I talk to some people, don't even want to say hello. You know what I mean?
I do know.
But I know that they still need some emotional healing, so I don't hold that against them. But for you, you know, you were there, you did a wonderful tour, and I was like, hey, we got to do some things.
Yes.
We have to do some things.
Yes.
So the first step I wanted to do was have you on the show.
And I'm happy to be here.
Are you happy to be here?
I really am.
Because I don't know where you are in life, but I know you got a story.
I do have a story, and I would love to share it with you.
Well, here it is.
Yes. So I am actually from Jacksonville, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I have been here for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure you want to know how I came to the museum.
How did you get to the Apex Museum?
Okay, so I was unemployed at one time,
Mm-hmm.
and I ran into Dan Moore Jr.,
Okay.
which is Dan Moore Sr.'s son, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was selling True Green, which was a lawn care service.
Yes, yes.
I purchased some lawn care service from him, and he asked me, did I even know anything about the Apex Museum? And I advised him, no, I never heard anything about it. And he said, I would love for you to come down and meet my father.
Wow.
And I met Dan Moore Sr., and I was blown away by this man. I mean, the kindness.
The kindness. Now that I could occur to.
Oh, my God. And he is a gentleman.
Yes, he is.
He is a person that will not allow a woman to lift a finger to open a door or anything of that nature.
Wow. Does he have a granddaddy?
Dee, when I tell you...
But see, that's a real awesome man. Go ahead.
He is a real awesome man. And the woman behind that man...
That he definitely has a dunamis woman.
She is the most wonderfulest woman I have ever met.
Yes, yes.
I'm telling you, and she is very, very nice and it's easy to talk to.
Yeah, and you know what? And I'm glad you stated that because we always thinking about, ooh, how is the man? And really, it's how is the woman? Because a woman is a reflection of her man.
Exactly.
And that's why it's so important, or the man that God puts in her life.
Right.
And that's why it's so important that we, as women, understand who we are, don't mind being who we are, walk in the truth of who we are, and embrace that. Because the man in your life, you represent him. And now it opens up avenues for him to be himself, and then imagine what you could do together.
Right.
Have an Apex Museum.
Exactly.
there you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yes, ma'am. And for me to be working there at the Apex Museum is the most awesome experience. Because like you, Dee, I love to talk to people.
Yes, yes.
I'm a people person.
I'm a people person.
And so when people come to the museum, I'm so happy to see them. And I let them know, you know, that I'm happy to see them. And we engage in conversations ranging from relationships
Yes.
to our history
Yes.
and where we are in our history and where we should be and how we would love for more people to come to the museum.
And which is why we're here, because, you know, it's not just all about the museum. It's about who's there and learning, and we're building a community of people. But I want to go back to something you said, because I think we sometimes miss over the very miraculous things in life that God brings us, just because we don't understand who we are and we shun people off. You happened to meet Dan Moore Jr. just by your lawn. True green.
Right.
Now, what if you had have been that woman who, first of all, was out of bounds, did not know who you was, your character, when you try to come up, as they say, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I know you had to have some type of conversation just being who you are. You
Right.
wouldn't just say, oh, here's True Green, you know.
Right.
Whatever profession you're in and whatever job you are, they're still people.
Right.
And you presented yourself, I'm sure, as a respectable woman that even had you all have a conversation. Talk about that a little bit, which got you to your destiny.
Right. So basically, I was the candy lady in my neighborhood.
Okay.
And so he was like, for me to be the candy lady, he was like, you remind me of a lady that when I was growing up, basically we all had a candy lady in our neighborhood.
Back then we did.
Back
we had
then,
a candy
right?
lady.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was like that conversation, me being the candy lady and him coming, and he said, well, what kind of candy do you have? Can I get some candy? So we talked about, you know, me being the candy lady and what the neighborhood was like, and my relationship to the children that come to you know, to get candy, you know, because it's just not them coming to get candy. It's them coming and I'm talking to them about, you know, what are you going to do with your life today? Are you doing any reading?
Yeah.
Because I'm big on reading.
Yes.
I'm big on reading.
Yes.
So I'm always, are you reading?
Yeah, you're right.
My children are like, Mom, really?
Right.
Give me a break, okay?
Reading is power, knowledge is power, and you
It
have to
is.
have that. And in our community, in our Black community, we've lost the fact of sitting down to read. Unfortunately, television, videos, games,
Have taken over.
iPads, technology, it has taken over. But it's our responsibility, which is why Dunamis Woman is partnering and going to be at the Apex Museum to cultivate the mind. We may look things to be big, but see, I like the small things. I like the little things, because as I'm hearing you talking, see, I didn't know you was a candy lady. You know what I mean? In the community back then in the day, let's go back there a little history, because oftentimes we think history is like, ooh, 1800s. Right. Let's go back to past 40 years, okay? In the community, where even when I grew up, we had candy ladies. We had the lady who had the snow cones.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We had the lemonade, but we had community.
Yes, we did.
Now we don't even know who we living next to.
We don't.
Talk about that.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
To me, that is really unfortunate, because you want to build a community. And in order to do that, you must know who's in it.
Who's in it? That's right.
All right. So I think it's important that you extend yourself out. And sometimes, like, people are shy, you know, and they don't really want to, you know, meet the next person. But I think that if you can approach them in a right way, you know, they will be open to.
Well, you know, it goes back to what the core of who I am, and that's emotional healing. Because nowadays we need it like never before.
Yes, we do.
Because we've lost a sense of ourselves, first of all. And many of us in our Black communities have forgotten where we've come from.
Right.
You know, that's why the history is so important.
It is.
Particularly from a Black woman's perspective,
Right.
because we are the womb bearers, we are the matriarchs, we are the life givers. A man can give us a house, but we make it a home.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're right.
And the homes are in the community.
Exactly.
So now that we have a large stat of women who are single mothers, they're broken. They don't want to believe they're broken, you know, because they have the ability to purchase this house or get it financed, shall I say, do some things. But deep down inside that home, we're broken. And our community is a reflection of it. I'm reminded of the saying by Maya Angelou, it takes a village to raise a child. When I was growing up, the neighbor next door could bring me correction.
Yes.
And don't let her tell my mother.
Oh.
Because my mother gonna get me.
Of course.
You know why?
Of course.
Because somebody else had to bring me correction.
Exactly.
Did you experience that?
Of course I did. Of course I did.
Why are you looking like that?
Yes, but because I totally agree. I mean, anybody could really correct you, any adult.
That was community though.
Yes.
And they did it in love.
They did.
Because they wanted to see you grow up to be something.
Yes.
Not just be somebody who doing something,
Right.
but to be somebody, to do some things out here in this earth to keep the community going.
Exactly.
Correction is very important.
It is. It really is.
It really is.
Yes, ma'am.
Talk about it from your experience in life of being disciplined, corrected, in love in your home. Did you experience that?
Well, Dee, I came from a very strict, but my parents were religious Christians.
Christians, yes.
We were raised in the church every Sunday, and on Wednesdays we would have to go to church. So that's
You didn't
all.
have an option, did you?
No.
No, you didn't have an option.
That's all I knew. And of course you participated. You were the secretary or you were whatever you had to be.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and that's how I was raised. And my father did not spare the rod, of course. And so basically none of my siblings, my father has never had to come and to get us out of jail or any trouble or anything like that. You know, and I'm grateful. At the time, of course, I couldn't see why he was doing what he was doing, but now I understand. And it has kept me to be the person that I am and not to follow any wrongdoing. You know, just stay on the right side of living. And that's basically how I live.
You know what? Before we go to a break, I'm going to say this because the church has not always have come to be what it used to be, you know, but it's because of the people in the home that have come and even tainted that arena. You know, but it gave us back then discipline, it gave us structure, and if it didn't do anything else, it kept us out of trouble.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And so many mothers, black women, fathers don't require that of their kids. And it didn't give them the discipline that they needed because now they have too many options.
Right.
So we're going to take a break and I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about more of the history of us, particularly as black women, and how we should not even have some options that we have now because it's not about just us. It's about our life and it's about our legacy. I am Dee Collins. I'll be right back.
How to Pray with Power on Purpose is a dynamic book by Devetta D. Collins. If you want to activate your prayer life, get effective prayers, key strategies on how to change your life and experience breakthroughs in prayer, it is a must that you go to www.dunamis-woman.com and get your copy. Don't hesitate. Learn how to pray effectively and with power.
Are there certain things you do in life to stay healthy, such as exercise and eating right? What will bring you total prosperity and a peace of mind? The secret, emotional healing, healthy emotions. That's why the Emotional Healing and Empowerment Clinic is an intimate setting designed for men and women to be educated and empowered from a historical and spiritual perspective. Dig deep in your faith to experience healing and the power of God. Join us at the Apex Museum, 135 Auburn Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. It's time for miracles in your life and relationships. Join us.
Well, there you have it. I am back with you. We are talking about life and relationships, particularly from a historical perspective. Being a black woman, such a powerful thing. All women are powerful, and you have a responsibility in the ethnicity and the race of what God put you in. But I have Janice here, and we've been talking about it. Such an enriching conversation. But before we get back into it, I understand they gave you a Dear Dee thing that, you know, you got it.
Yes.
You got the card.
I got the card. Okay, so this is a gentleman. He says, I am a man and a husband, but I feel like the woman, my wife, dominates me, my kids, and everyone. How do I turn the tables, or should I just leave her?
Well, my counsel and coaching to that man, and thank you for that, is to really just be confident in the man that you are. Unfortunately, I don't know what you do, however, but a man is made to be in the presence of God. Anybody can leave. Anybody can abandon. But I firmly believe if you stand up in who you are, particularly, and this is my thing, Janice, as a man, I believe that we as women need our men, and particularly as a black man, if you can just stand. And as you get in the presence of God, please, the main thing you could do for your wife is pray for her. Pray for her, because there's needed some healing, emotional healing. We are the matriarchs and the womb bearers and the life giver. And if she is not treating you and respecting you as the man that you are, first thing, check some things within yourself, okay? That's between you and God. Get it right, get it together, pray for her, and I promise you, you'll see some miraculous thing take place. Don't abandon. Too many people, too many men are walking away from their families. Am I right?
You're right.
Am I right?
You're absolutely right.
From a historical perspective, we stood together and we endured. Talk about that.
So when we came over, of course, from Africa, we were divided. Okay, and that was the goal.
That was the goal.
To divide us.
To divide us.
So
man and woman.
Man and woman.
Man and woman.
Exactly.
That's it. See, that was the
right.
There you go.
So once that division came, of course, then it would have been up to us.
That's right.
To bring it back together.
Correct.
And I think that's where we need to do right now is come back together.
Yes.
And take it to God and give it some time.
And that's why we need to really understand how to implement and God's word. And that's what we're going to be doing at the emotional healing at the Apex.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Teaching how do I implement his word to my life with specificity, because we all been damaged. We all have been broken.
Yeah.
And what we're doing as man and woman, we're inflicting pain on each other.
Oh my goodness.
Now, how can we prosper if we continue to do that? How can we prosper, Janice? We can't.
We can't.
We can't.
We can't.
There is no formula for that.
Right.
What we can do and what we are doing, we're changing shoes, we're changing pants, we're changing heels, we're changing panties, we're changing brassieres, we're just changing. And too many of us, particularly of our black men, we're not committed. They're not committed to themselves.
Right.
But who keep getting inflicted?
We do.
As women.
Yes.
Hoping and wishing that they would do us right. Only God. Go for it.
So, Dee, do you think that
Oh, here you go.
as women raising these young men, what do you think that we need to do to steer them in the direction that they need to go in?
Well, the first thing we have to do as women is realize we're not a man. And we don't, the worst thing I could hate on Facebook, when I see this, on Father's Day, a woman saying Happy Father's Day to herself or another woman, because they had to play the mother and the father.
role.
I don't care if you're a father who raised your children, you are not a mother.
Right.
I don't care if you're a mother who raised your children alone, you are not a father.
Right.
Let's take that. So therefore, there's a gap missing. And where there's a missing key component, it's inevitable that they're going to have emotional pain. You cannot separate the sperm from the egg when the child is present.
Right.
We're the product of it. That's the first thing we need to do. Second thing we need to do is we have to get into the presence of God and say, God, give me explicit instructions on how to raise these children, that son or that daughter, with specificity. Only He can give us the counsel and the wisdom of what we need, not from a religious standpoint, but from a relational standpoint. And I've been coaching for over 30 years. And the main thing that I've seen, particularly in our community, is that women inflict their pain on their children, particularly if it's a son child, because they still have issues with that father.
Wow. That is so correct.
It's the truth.
It is.
And they have repressed these thoughts, and they say, oh, I'm fine, oh, I'm fine, oh, I'm fine. And you're not. Because now that son is growing up to be like their father, which they should, look like their father, which they should. That's his DNA. The blood doesn't run from the mother, it runs from the sperm of the man.
Okay.
We have that. Woman doesn't have a seed. Man plants the seed. We incubate, we germinate, we cultivate, we nurture it, we birth it. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
And as we birth it from a historical perspective, in the modern time of what we live in, the world system, shall I say, the first thing they do is give it to their mother. Who that child first should be given to is that father.
Wow.
With that mother, so they can feel secure.
Yes.
But we're just birthing kids alone. Fail to realize somebody's sperm put that child there.
Right.
How can I dismiss the sperm? I'm going to teach a series at the Apex, and it's starting with the sperm of a man.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Janice, because it goes back to history.
Yes.
Am I correct?
You are correct.
You
Yes,
know,
ma'am.
you did the tour, and you got to go to the Apex. If you're here right here in the Atlanta area, give them the address.
We are at 135 Auburn Avenue. We are 39 years old, as a matter of fact.
Yes, yes.
Yes, so we really would love for you guys to come and experience it, because there is another museum in Washington, D.C. that everyone is talking about.
Yes, yes.
Okay? So we are a little smaller version of that.
Yes.
But here in Atlanta.
And oftentimes we're going, and there's nothing wrong with that because I'm going to go there as
Right,
well. But
exactly.
oftentimes, we go out of our own state when we have such great commodity in the place that we live.
Right.
And that's why we're going to be having our emotional healing clinics. And I really am grateful to you. And I'm more so grateful to Dan Moore Sr. because he is a real awesome man. He does have a heart and he sees. And I have been on this journey for a long time. And we as a black people don't want to give each other an opportunity.
Right.
And
Right.
so that is, tears just come to my eyes just thinking about it because I understand my journey.
Right.
But realistically, we're going to be teaching the emotional healing clinics right there. And because it has to be from a life and relational standpoint. And as I stated, you got to know where you are in order to get where you're going. But then you also got to know where you've been.
Yes.
And that history. And we're going to be there from 2:30 to 5. But that first 30 minutes, you're going to be given that tour.
Awesome.
You're going to be given that tour.
Wonderful.
I came the first time and I did a self-tour.
Okay.
I came the second time you did the tour. I'm like, where has she been all my life? It was totally different
Right.
of an experience.
Yes.
And I think we need an experience.
Yes, we do.
We
do.
have education.
Right.
We can get education.
Right.
We can learn more.
Right.
But experience
That's what you need.
is what you need.
And that's what you'll get.
And that's what you get. It's a difference of having ability to read a Bible and read a scripture. Anybody could do that or hear a sermon.
Right.
But when you have an experience with God,
Right.
it can change your life.
Right.
It shall change your life.
Right.
So what are they going to get a little bit, give an inkling of a tour? And I want you to be specific about this tour.
Okay.
From a historical perspective, from a woman's perspective. What is a woman going to get? What is a woman going to really see?
Well, a woman is going to see that there were women that were pivotal in our history.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
A woman by the name of Queen of Zynga. Queen of Zynga fought off the Portuguese for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
She had men that were behind her, taking orders, had no problem with taking orders from her. 30 years. I always like to let people know about Queen of Zynga because she's somebody to be celebrated.
Yes, yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Because a lot of times, then in those days, women weren't celebrated so much, but they were doing still awesome things. Okay? So that's why I like to talk about her.
Go ahead.
And let people know that she existed. Not only her, other women like Mary Cloud Bethune, you name it. There's a whole list
There's
of
a whole
women.
lot.
That,
But I like that queen who fought for 30 years from a historical standpoint.
Right.
But what goes in my mind is because men followed her, but they didn't follow her that they were weak. They trusted a queen. See, you said queen. And oh my God, see, I don't want to start teaching because that's a developmental stage that you have to go through in order to get to queendom. Just like you got to get to kingdom.
yes.
Yes. And when you're in that place of a queen, a man will be secure because you're not putting him down. You're really doing it to lift him up.
Yes.
That's what we need to get back to as women.
Yes.
It ain't nothing worse than I call a Jezebelic woman who's castrating, demasculating a man because you want to be all this and all that. I cannot stand the fact of seeing men tiptoe around women. Only so they can have peace, quiet, and get some sex.
Wow.
I'm I'm a life and relationship coach, so I can tell you some stories, oh my God, that I've heard. But yet we go into church and we shout.
Yes. Pretend.
And pretend. Only because we're uneducated from the real truth.
Right.
And that's why this is telling the truth about life and relationships.
Exactly.
How do we get back to that queendom? Give me some nuggets from your experience. What do you think? How can we get back to that queendom for the kingdom?
I would say we have to start with loving ourselves.
Yeah.
And from there, you can love others. But you must. It must start there.
You must love yourself.
You must love yourself.
You must love yourself.
Yes.
Well, Janice, self-love is a power. Self-love is a strength. And many of us think as women, we love ourselves because we have accomplished many things and we've possessed material gain only through the world system. Would you really have that car if you didn't get financed? Would you really have that home if you didn't get financed? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they didn't have finances back then. It was rightfully ours. We didn't have mortgages then, but we had land. And that's why we as women have to get back in our place to understand who we are and not put our validity in what we have. Because this is not about you. This is about the king in your life, the kings in your life. When I say kings, your sons, your nephews, your cousins, the men that God has positioned strategically in your life. Why? Because you are a dunamis woman. Every man is not for you to play with, and every man truly is not for you to lay with, but every man is for you to pray for. I am Dee Collins. I'm your life and relationship coach. I am a dunamis woman, and I'll see you next week. Janice, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Have a blessed week. Awesome. I am Devetta Dee Collins. I am a life and relationship expert, power coach, spiritual leader, and advisor, and I have been doing this since 2002. I decided to be a relationship expert, particularly because I had had many broken relationships. They have broken my heart, impacted my life. I have become a power coach because I understand that your pain is your power. Spiritual leader and advisor, we all are spiritual beings, and to enlighten people to the truth of who they are is phenomenal. I love it when their eyes are enlightened and they understand who they are versus what they do. People have a serious fear of breaking through barriers in order for their dreams to become a reality. They have conformed to who they think they are as opposed to being who they were created to be. And that fear stifles them. So engaging with them and just building up their confidence, letting them know it's okay, providing a safe place in their heart and in their mind by me engaging with them, that's what I love to do. You only have one you, and when that's done, it's done. But to bring life to people, turning their fear into faith, that whatever you believe, you can accomplish it. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. Eliminate excuses, break through those barriers, and you will see your dream become a reality.
How to Pray with Power on Purpose is a dynamic book by Devetta Dee Collins. If you want to activate your prayer life, get effective prayers, key strategies on how to change your life and experience breakthroughs in prayer, it is a must that you go to www.dunamis-woman.com and get your copy. Don't hesitate. Learn how to pray effectively and with power.